you want to know how to never be ignored again and turn the tables? Fine, sit down because I'm going to tell you. But heads up, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm tired of seeing grown men crying over women who leave them on red and never reply. If you keep this up, you'll just be another loser they ignore without a second thought. I'm going to teach you to stop being a puppet and become the guy they chase after, without shame, begging for even a crumb of your attention. Want to know how I know all of this? Because I was that sucker. I sent one hey after another and stared at my phone like a dog waiting for its owner to come back. But then I woke up. I stopped being an idiot, put an end to this desperation cycle, and decided that from now on, I'd be the one leaving the last message on red. They would be the ones to feel the bitter taste of rejection. After a lot of trial and error, I improved my communication skills, stopped acting like a desperate fool, and now I'm bringing you, on a silver platter, the blueprint to get out of this humiliation spiral and turn the game around once and for all. Want them chasing you? First, I'll show you how to react when you're ignored. Then I'll teach you how to never go through that again. And lastly, the cherry on top, how to make her beg for your attention. Get ready to become the master of interactions, the one who pulls the strings and decides when they speak, when they shut up, and when they beg for the bare minimum of your time. Enough talk. Let's get straight to the point. Number 1, stop chasing her. Quit being the dog, chasing its own tail. Look, the first thing you need to drill into your head is that running after someone who already gave you a goodbye won't take you anywhere. Want to keep begging for attention from someone who doesn't care about you? Fine, but don't complain later when your pride is shattered. If she started ignoring you, cooling down conversations, or only replying out of courtesy, the first and smartest thing to do is stop chasing her. That's right. Drop the phone and give it a rest to see if your actions have any effect. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, but I'll just send one innocent little message. No, man. If you really want to turn the game around, the idea is to leave her wondering, where's that guy who used to say good morning, good afternoon, good night, and even good early morning? Disappear. Be a mystery. After a few good hours, like 4 to 12 at the minimum, send her a random message with no trace of interest. Don't ask if she's doing well, if she ate, or if the sky is nice today. Send something like, remember that restaurant? I heard it closed. Or anything random and out of context. Just once. If she doesn't reply, or worse, she responds disinterestedly, it's time to definitely stop making a fool out of yourself. Oh, but why is this going to work? I've heard this question 1,000 times, and I'll answer it again, hoping it sinks into your head. By distancing yourself, you're showing that you're no longer a little dog wagging its tail for any tiny bit of attention. You're sending the message that life goes on and that you have other priorities, that she's not the last bottle of water in the desert. People like to chase what they can't have. The more you disappear, the more she wonders where you are, what you're doing, and why you stopped crawling. Remember, distance works both ways. If you go to her, why can't she come to you? Think about it. Let her chase after you a little. You know that saying, you only want what you can't have. Well, it's exactly that. But go ahead and keep crying. Let's see what happens. You'll only reinforce the image of a desperate guy with no options. And besides all that, the mirroring technique is here to help you. Meaning, if she takes 4 hours to reply, guess what? You're also going to take 4 hours. It doesn't matter if you're holding your phone in your hand, staring at the ceiling. Make her feel like she has to put in as much effort to talk to you. Cut this cycle of one-sided effort. Don't respond right away just because a notification popped up from her. Once you match her level of interest, that's when she starts to realize she needs to work a bit harder to get your attention. That's when the game changes and you stop being the court jester to become the king of the board. Number 2, make her anxious. Ah, the classic case of the guy who gets excited faster than a sprinter at the starting line. You know what the fatal mistake is? Barely knowing the woman, thinking there was chemistry on the first date, and already picturing the two of you getting married in a countryside house with a Labrador in the yard. Then comes the barrage of messages, compliments, and of course that desperate touch of "pick me, please." All you're doing is making her want to run away in the opposite direction. Pay attention, man. Stopping conversations with everyone else just because you found a woman who gave you an extra smile is a recipe for disaster. This creates colossal expectations, and not just for you, but for her too. And what happens when expectations aren't met? Frustration, disappointment. The famous, "he wasn't all that." Or even worse, she ignores you because she realizes she already has you in the palm of her hand before she even knows your last name. By giving exclusivity right off the bat, you're basically handing your crown over to someone who doesn't even know what to do with it. You're putting all the control in her hands and saying, "Here you go, darling. You're the last cookie in the jar." Guess what's going to happen? She's going to think you're too easy, that she doesn't even have to make an effort to conquer you. And then, her interest in you will vanish faster than your self-esteem after a rejection. The trick here is to turn the tables and make her anxious. Let her wonder where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, and why you stopped replying. Don't be that guy glued to his phone waiting for her notification to pop up. While you stay calm, she's there, staring at the screen and wondering what's going on. Remember, whoever stays calm in the game of relationships is the one who controls everything. You're the one holding the cards, but if you deal them like they're worthless, you'll just end up empty-handed. Emotional control is the key. Don't get anxious over her. Have more options. She needs to feel like she's earning a place in your life, not that you're handing over your entire world on a silver platter. Keep the suspense. Let her imagine what you're up to. Create that mystery. You're not an open book to be read all at once. You're a puzzle, the kind she'll want to solve. The lesson here is simple. If she notices that you have something more valuable to do than idolize her, that's when she'll chase after you to make sure she has a spot in your life. Remember, soldier, the one who's not in a hurry controls time. The one who doesn't chase anyone is the one who ends up being pursued. Number 3, destroy her ego without pity or mercy. If you really want to see her chasing after you like there's no tomorrow, you need to learn one simple thing. Break her ego like shattering glass on the floor. Because let me tell you, most guys make a huge mistake. They put women on a pedestal like they're the only option in the world, bowing down as if they're standing in front of a pop icon. Stop that right now. It's not about treating her badly, but it's also not about acting like a crazed fan. Since she learned to walk, she's been used to hearing the same speech. "You're so beautiful. You're so perfect. You're so wonderful." That's why any compliment you throw her way will just go in one ear and out the other. It's like pouring a glass of water into the ocean, completely insignificant. Want to carve out a place in her mind? Be the stone in her shoe, the guy who doesn't go with the flow and challenges the mundane. Stop giving even a sliver of attention to that appearance everyone else already worships. Stop being predictable. She doesn't need another fool to feed that enormous ego she's been coddled with since birth. Want to short-circuit her brain? Be different. Talk less about the pretty face and more about what really matters. Engage in conversations she's not used to, about things that make her wonder, why isn't this guy showering me with compliments like all the others? That's how you disarm someone. While everyone is stuck on the obvious, you're already 3 steps ahead, playing a game she didn't even know had started. Remember, her mind is already programmed to respond to the same cliched compliments. So, you're going to be the one who breaks the script. The one who looks and doesn't say anything about her looks, but instead drops a comment that makes her think about who she really is. That's going to chip away at the confident armor she flaunts, and before you even realize it, she'll be chasing after you, craving a bit of approval. But listen, it's not about being a total jerk, okay? The idea is to show that you see beyond the surface. Say what she doesn't expect to hear without fear. And when she tries to understand you, you'll have achieved something most men don't even know how to do. Take up space in her head. Because the real game is like this. The one who doesn't scramble to please, who doesn't idolize, ends up being the true obsession. So, soldier, forget that little book of cheap compliments and that habit of worshiping her as if she's the last woman on earth. Let her ego miss what you didn't say. And when she starts to wonder why you don't act like all the others, my friend, that's when she'll start valuing you as you deserve. If you want to learn how to destroy her ego and flip the script, making her see you as the only option, check out the digital book in the video description. After reading it, you'll discover how to mess with her mind and make her beg for your attention. Stop being the court jester! Use your cold and calculated side to master the art of seduction and show who's really in control here. Stop being a doormat and become the man she can't resist and who truly knows his worth. Number 4, change your positioning. Enough of being the playground fool. If you're out there, always ready, serving yourself up on a silver platter, jumping through hoops to please, paying for dates, and acting like a free Uber, I've got some news for you. She doesn't respect you. Period. And there's no use crying about it. If you act like a doormat, the only thing she'll do is wipe her feet on you before moving on with a guy who actually values himself. Understand once and for all, positioning yourself isn't optional, it's mandatory. If you sell yourself cheap, you're basically shouting to the world that your value is measured by how much you spend and how much you humiliate yourself to make her smile. It's that easy, huh? You put yourself out there as the guy who gives everything for free and gets scraps in return. Want to change that? Stop chasing like a stray dog. Start positioning yourself more assertively and balanced, like the least she can offer is proper reciprocity. Now, don't go pouting and trying to pose as, I'm nice, but I'm going to toughen up a bit, just to see what happens. She'll smell that from a mile away and know it's fake. The change has to be real. Show that you're a good guy, but that you're not willing to do anything for a bit of attention. That's called self-worth. And if you don't value yourself, why on earth would she? You know that story about training a dog? Well, the same principle applies here. If you let your dog do its business anywhere without pulling the leash, it'll do whatever it wants, forever. If you don't set boundaries, she'll act the same way. And it's not her fault. It's your fault for not showing what you're willing to accept. You're teaching her that disrespect is tolerable, that your time isn't worth anything, and that you'll be available even if she treats you as the second option. Get your act together once and for all. Clearly define what's acceptable and what's not. There's no point in complaining that she only looks for you when she needs something if you let that happen every time. She needs to understand that to get your attention, she has to invest as much as you do. No more bowing to her minimal effort. Make her see that you're the prize, not the consolation prize. Changing your position isn't just about stopping paying the bills. It's about showing that you know your worth and that you won't settle for anything less than what you deserve. When you start acting like someone who values themselves, the people around you, including her, have no choice but to see you differently. Number 5, start conversations that are shots to the face, not hand waves. Oh, you're still sending that "Hi, how are you" text? Well, let me congratulate you. You're just another face in the crowd. Seriously, how many times do you think she's read that today? 5? 10? 20? It's like trying to get someone's attention with a psst in a crowded club. No chance. If you really want to stand out, it's time to stop being predictable and boring. She's already flooded with guys approaching her with the same boring, no creativity introduction as always. It's like hearing the same song on repeat on the radio. The difference? With you, she doesn't even have to change the station, just mutes and moves on. To avoid being a digital mute, you need to start conversations that are like direct hits. Quick, sharp, and leaving a mark. Ask questions that make her stop and think, huh? What's up with this guy? Like an invisible slap, but to her brain. Want an example? Stop asking how her day went. Send something that already shows you're different and not following the basic good manners rule book. Make a comment about something you saw that reminded you of her. Ask what she would do if she suddenly had $1 million. Or tell a short, crazy story that happened to you. Talk about something she's never heard. Make her curious. She'll feel intrigued and even compelled to respond because guess what? You didn't do what everyone else does. The secret is to be unpredictable without being weird or forced. The idea is to create a situation where she feels she has to respond, even if it's just to ask what's going through your mind. And you know why? Because you stopped being just another one and became the guy who broke the mold, who brings something new. She's not going to ignore you because suddenly, ignoring you becomes uncomfortable for her. You weren't just polite, you were memorable. Want another golden tip? Use the environment around you, something specific that only she or a few people would understand, an inside joke or a comment that shows you pay attention. That way she'll see that you're not a parrot repeating, "Hey, long time no see," but someone who genuinely has something to say. In short, drop that lukewarm attitude and start sparking emotions. Ask the unexpected, share the unusual, and her response will be inevitable. She'll reply with that mix of curiosity and amusement, because, my friend, nobody ignores something that stands out. Number 6, stop acting like a desperate fool and respect your own value. Are you watching this video and still haven't learned anything, huh? Fine. I'm going to give you the final punch to see if you wake up. Because the truth is, you need to stop acting like a desperate fool who doesn't even have a shred of self-respect. Want to know why she never takes you seriously? Because you act as if her attention is the most important thing in your life. Have you ever stopped to think how pathetic that sounds? You're there, begging for crumbs, as if you had nothing better to do than be at her feet. The secret is to be unpredictable without being weird or forced. The idea is to create a situation where she feels she has to respond, even if it's just to ask what's going through your mind. And you know why? Because you stopped being just another one and became the guy who broke the mold, who brings something new. She's not going to ignore you because suddenly, ignoring you becomes uncomfortable for her. You weren't just polite, you were memorable. Want another golden tip? Use the environment around you, something specific that only she or a few people would understand, an inside joke or a comment that shows you pay attention. That way she'll see that you're not a parrot repeating, "Hey, long time no see," but someone who genuinely has something to say. In short, drop that lukewarm attitude and start sparking emotions. Ask the unexpected, share the unusual, and her response will be inevitable. She'll reply with that mix of curiosity and amusement, because, my friend, nobody ignores something that stands out. Number 6, stop acting like a desperate fool and respect your own value. Are you watching this video and still haven't learned anything, huh? Fine. I'm going to give you the final punch to see if you wake up. Because the truth is, you need to stop acting like a desperate fool who doesn't even have a shred of self-respect. Want to know why she never takes you seriously? Because you act as if her attention is the most important thing in your life. Have you ever stopped to think how pathetic that sounds? You're there, begging for crumbs, as if you had nothing better to do than be at her feet. Enough of this! If you keep this up, you'll forever be the guy she responds to when nothing else interesting is going on. The backup plan, the reserve guy, the one she thinks about only when her ego needs a little boost. Or do you really think that bombarding her with messages all day, stalking her social media, and kissing up to her will make her look at you and say, "Wow, what an amazing guy"? Wake up, soldier! You're humiliating yourself without even realizing it. Look, I'm not here to make you feel good. If you want to keep acting like a pathetic loser, go ahead. But don't come crying later that she ghosted you, ignored you, or left you talking to yourself. Want respect? Then start respecting yourself first. From now on, you need to stop treating her like she's the last treat in the jar. Stop chasing her. Stop being desperate to be accepted. And most importantly, stop acting like the world will end if she doesn't reply. You're the prize here, not her. If she doesn't see that, it's her problem, not yours. And don't bother giving pretty speeches or boosting your confidence only in front of the mirror. You need to put it into practice. From today on, all this small talk and these pathetic behaviors stop. If she doesn't value you, if she treats you like a second option, you simply turn your back and move on with your life. You know why? Because those who are truly worthwhile, those who have value, don't beg to be accepted. Stop acting like an emotional beggar and start behaving like someone who knows they won't settle for anything less than the best. Because if she doesn't want to see your value, trust me, there will be someone else who will. But that only happens if you stop being a fool and start showing that you're not there to be anyone's doormat. So the final lesson is simple. Respect yourself or accept being a nobody forever. The choice is yours, but the path is clear. She has to see you as something she can't afford to lose, not as someone she discards without a second thought. Go and show that you're more than just that loser who spends all his time staring at his phone waiting for her notification. Stop being the idiot who begs. Because, my friend, if you still don't understand that value lies in those who respect themselves, then there's nothing else I can say. Stop being weak and mediocre. You deserve more, but only if you have the courage to change that abandoned puppy mentality now. So that's it. It's time to lift your head up and stop living in the shadow of someone who treats you like you're disposable. Everything I said here isn't to please you. It's to rub in your face that as long as you don't value yourself, no one else will. Stop humiliating yourself. Stop acting like a needy person with no self-love, and take control of the situation. If you don't start respecting yourself now, no video, advice, or motivational quote will fix your life. Each of these points I gave you is a step to get out of the vicious cycle of submission and become someone she has to respect, someone she has to value. The decision to change is yours. Either you become the man who commands respect, or you'll keep being the one who begs for any scrap of attention. So make the decision now, because there's no other way. Be the prize, not the doormat. You deserve more, but you have to fight for it. If you don't, the choice is clear. Keep being the same as always and accept disrespect as your reward. I've done my part. Now the ball's in your court. End of story. End of